Welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports. On today's show, we wanted to go over a draft that took place last night on our site. It's called the Premier Draft. It was $10,000 to get in. My coworker Logan Glaser is going to join me here to talk about that. Logan, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Yeah, this league was $10,000 to get in, so it's the ultimate put up or shut up type of league. I mean, you don't get into something like this unless you think you can win it, and it's a big payoff if you win as well. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is our first year ever doing a $10,000 league. Last year we did 3 $5,000 syndicate leagues. This year we got a $10,000 one. We also got a couple $5,000 ones drafting as well, and a huge prize pool for those 12 teams competing in that league.
Yeah, before we get to that, though, let's talk real quick about all our big contests. Football season starts next Thursday. It's Friday, September 2nd right now, so season's coming up soon. A lot of our contests are basically sold out, though, right now. What's left for our users out there?
Yeah, we got two different types of tournaments along with all the standalone leagues. We got the TFC, which is about 70% sold out, so make sure you get into that. And then also we opened up a new best ball type of league just yesterday, and it is a third round reversal. So it's a little bit different than the other types of formats with that third round flipping back to the number 12 team picking first. But that has a $3,000 grand prize with that type of league and 1,200 teams total.
Awesome. So there's still stuff people can get in. Again, all different types of other leagues too, high stakes leagues. If you don't want to do one of our contests, we have all different formats, best ball leagues, dime best ball just for $10. So you name it, we got it here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Go to RTSports.com and you can sign up for one of those leagues today. Let's get into this Premier League, though, now, Logan. I'm going to bring up the draft board so everybody can see it. Here it is right here. Again, it was $10,000 to get in, a really exciting league, and all of us kept a close watch on this one last night to see what happened. I think the only thing in the first round that I want to point out, the big thing that stuck out to me was Saquon Barkley, 4th overall. So I think that's the highest I have seen him go. What's your thoughts on that, Logan?
Yeah, that's definitely the highest I've seen Barkley go as well. He's usually going right now in most leagues in the early second round, maybe middle of the second round. That's kind of where he's been falling. But obviously he got his guy. Barkley probably wasn't going to make it back around to him in the second round. And if he thinks Barkley's the go-to guy this year, especially with his upside, you got to get him when he had the chance to in the first round. Yeah, we also saw McCaffrey go first overall over Taylor. Most of these leagues, we've been seeing Taylor go first, especially with high stakes. It's a little bit different in our TFC and RTFFC with Taylor having that week 14 bye, but with high stakes, that definitely surprised me seeing McCaffrey go first.
Yeah, a little different, too, with some of these builds. I know my son Henry and I have been looking at some of these drafts recently. I know you look at them a lot as well, but sometimes you see a lot of people go receiver heavy, multiple teams. This one, not so much. So there was just really one team that stood out when it came to receiver heavy, and that was the Tui. I don't know how to pronounce it. It was team 10, though, whatever that, however you pronounce it. I guess that's a play on Tua Tagovailoa, but he went Mixon, Adams, Allen, Moore, and then Lamar Jackson. But besides that, it was not a receiver heavy early drafting draft. So a little different than some of the other contests we've seen.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you look at the first 2 rounds, I mean, it's very running back heavy. And within those first 2 rounds, you got the 2 tight ends mixed in there with Kelsey and Andrews. But besides that, very heavy running backs. We saw Zeke going at the very end of round 2. Travis Etienne also going in the second round was a little bit of a surprise to me as well, him going there. Then other than that, it looks pretty standard with Kamara also went a little later than he's actually been going in a couple of drafts. He's been kind of going near the end of the first round. So it was a little bit later, and that was a good value pick right there.
Yeah, especially since that owner, Shaq Attack, he had Jamar Chase in the first round, so then he got Kamara on the way back. So that's pretty good value for him there. It looked like running quarterbacks, too, in this one maybe went a little earlier than normal. I mean, we had looks like 6 off the board after 6 rounds. Sometimes, the 7th, 8th round is when you're seeing guys like Hurts and Murray and Burrow go. So these owners went a little more quarterback heavy early than you see in some of these drafts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, when you look at these quarterbacks, I think there's a big drop off kind of after where Burrow goes, and then there's a little bit of a tier difference after Burrow. But if you want to have, yeah, be a top team, you can go ahead and either take a risk getting a QB early, or you kind of can wait. Like, I don't mind going Trey Lance in round 10. I mean, there's definitely a lot of risk with him, but if it allows you to stack your team up with good running backs and wide receivers, I'm perfectly fine waiting for a guy
I'm
like
kind
Trey
of
Lance in
I'm
round
kind
10.
of the same way as you, Logan. I was a big Jalen Hurts guy in like the 8th, 7th round, but I feel like he's moving up. He's creeping up. You can't get
He
him for
sure
that
is.
good of a price at this point, unfortunately. I guess the one thing that really stood out to me, and we can't not address it, was the 3 defenses that went in a row to the Tua, however you want to pronounce his team name. He went Bills, Buccaneers, Rams with 3 straight defenses around 10, 11, and 12. So it'd be great to have him on to see what his thought process was there. But what can you take from that? What do you think he was trying to do there? Was it playing keep away, trying to keep the top defenses away from other teams? I can't really figure out what his strategy was
Yeah,
there.
that's definitely a strategy that people definitely use, and also having the ability to stream those different 3 top defenses each week, and you're gonna probably be looking in your matchup to have the advantage in the defensive position. Personally, I like going the combination of Indianapolis with the Chargers. So, I'm gonna go ahead and share this, but the first 6 weeks, if you have those 2 defenses, if you can take them both pretty late too. You're gonna be facing Houston, Jacksonville, Houston, Cleveland, Jacksonville, with just those 2 defenses. So I personally like having that combination to start out the season, and I would not draft 3 defenses in rounds
Yeah,
10
I
through
I
13.
think that's a great point, Logan. Because looking at the schedule like that is just a smart, shrewd move on your part, just to see who these teams are facing. Because a lot of owners, and me included, we like to stream defenses just because the point the point differential from week to week isn't that great. If you get an elite one and you can just plug and play them, I think it's more advantageous to play on matchups for the most part. So I think it's really smart to look to see who these defenses are playing, especially as the season progresses. So that's a great point, Logan. I like that. Anything else stand out to you specifically? Any picks? Any other trends or something else you want to mention here, Logan?
Yeah, the team that really stood out to me, I like the 10K high stakes team selecting 5th overall. Personally, I like going Taylor, McCaffrey, and then the combination of Jefferson or Cup at that 3 and 4 pick, and he ended up getting Jefferson at number 5. I think he got a huge steal and getting Debo in the 3rd round as well. I mean, Debo's been going in the 2nd round in most drafts. So that's a very good solid build with Jefferson, Debo, Brandon Cooks, Bateman, Devontae Smith at wide receiver. And then he's got solid running backs as well with Fournette, AJ Dillon, Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, and Kenneth Walker. And he took the approach to kind of wait on that quarterback that we kind of talked about and get Derek Carr, who's a great option. I mean, he's got Devontae Adams now, and he put up great numbers last year. And also, he got my favorite tight end in Irv Smith Jr. So I really like his team in this format.
Yeah, the analyzer for both of the we have an analyzer at the end of the draft, Fantasy Pros, Fantasy Alarm, and they gave that team number 1 on both analyzers, which is kind of rare. I do like that team. I just worry a little bit about that second running back spot. I'm still not sold that Dylan's going to be, a great option there as the RB2. I think it could be a little hit or miss for him from week to week. I'd feel more comfortable, having somebody else like even like a David Montgomery or James Conner, which some of these teams have. I think they might be a little more consistent than Dylan. But overall, I do think he drafted a really good team, the 10K team as well. I think all these teams did a pretty good job, though. There isn't one that you know sticks out like a sore thumb that they have no chance. I think all of them did a pretty good job, and they all have a good shot to win this league. $10,000 to get in. It's kind of intriguing to me. A team that I like is a team that took a QB early, which is something normally that I don't do. But I kind of like that R&R and Express team with Eckler and Chubb, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Mahomes in the 5th round, Thielen, James Cook, Ayuk, Dawson Knox, J.D. McKissick, Hunter Henry, Jarvis Landry, Julio Jones. So I think that was a really good build, even though I normally don't go QB that early. I love the 2 running backs in Eckler and Chubb. Probably going to use receiver is a flex, and I think Adam Thielen's going to have a huge year in that new offense in Minnesota. I like Ayuk a lot as well, so I think that's a really good build. The second team as well, it's another one that took a QB early. It just goes to show you, though, Logan, that you can use any different strategies and they can work as long as you build your team right.
Everything changes during the draft. I mean, you have to adapt during the draft just based off of where players are falling, taking advantage of that value throughout the draft. So you can go into the draft with a strategy, but that can quickly change based off of how other teams are picking players.
Yep, you can't go in with a set strategy. I'm going to take a tight end in round 7 and I'm going to take a QB in round 10 because, like you said, things change. You got to be flexible. You got to adjust to the other owners. Some of these owners have most likely never played with any of these other owners as well. So that plays into it too. You don't know tendencies of people as well. So you got to be able to adjust. But again, I think a lot of these owners did a really good job. It was a very fun draft to watch. $10,000 it cost to get in this. Do you think we're going to do something like this again? It was popular. It filled. Probably something we're going to have on our.
Yeah, absolutely. It filled actually pretty quickly, about 2 or 3 weeks ago that this draft filled, and we also got some syndicates resolved. If you missed out on this, we also got a couple of great high stakes still options in the draft lobby. I know a $2,000 auction might go off. That would be our highest auction. It's got 8 spots left for that, so we're looking at filling that. And we also got a couple $1,000 and $2,000 drafts still up in the draft lobby.
Before we leave, I want to look at the end of the draft too, because I think that's always interesting to see what these owners. A lot of these guys are very good owners. Was there any picks that stood out at the end? You thought, wow, that's some really good value, or anything along those lines? Logan, any of these late round picks for
Let's see. I'm kind of a big fan of Devontae Parker at the very end, just because he has a possibility of being New England's number 1. Isaiah McKenzie and also Nico Collins. I really like Nico Collins this year. He's the number 2 wide receiver heading in most likely for Houston. I think, and especially with Davis Mills kind of getting more adjusted to the offense, I think he's got the physical capability to break out this year and kind of be that late round sleeper.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think Joshua Kelly in round 17 looks like he could be the number 2 right now for the Chargers, and Eckler can get nicked up from time to time. So I think that Kelly dart throw is a pretty good one there at the end of the draft too. He went to a team that we've talked about before. Also, Albert O kind of intrigues me. Get him as a backup tight end in Denver. He went around 15. I think that's a good late dart throw as well. And then Jalen Warren's getting a lot more hits lately in these drafts. Seems like he's getting a lot more. I guess he's moving up draft boards, I should say. So he's another guy that kind of intrigues me. Could be a good pass catching back. With Najee Harris having some issues with his foot, I think that's another good a good guy to target late in drafts. All right, Logan, that is the recap of the Premium League on RealTime Fantasy Sports. $10,000 to get in. I appreciate you joining me again today. Always a lot of fun talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jeff. Yeah, it's a great draft that we all got to watch last night, and excited for all those owners to have a shot at the big bucks this year.
Yep. And if you want to get in any of these drafts, again, go to rtsports.com. And also, when you're watching this on YouTube, we'd really appreciate if you subscribe and like our videos. We really appreciate that. We appreciate you watching every week. We're going to keep doing these. We enjoy doing them. Logan, thanks again. You have a great day.
Thanks. You too, Jeff.
All right. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day, everyone.